French President Emmanuel Macron has arrived in the United Kingdom, kicking off the first state visit to the country by an EU leader since Brexit. The president and his wife were greeted by the Prince and Princess of Wales before meeting King Charles III and Camilla at Windsor Castle. Macron's also set to hold several meetings with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, which will focus on aid to war-torn Ukraine, bolstering defence spending, as well as irregular migration. While posting to social media shortly after landing, Macron described the state visit as an important moment for the two countries and also a significant moment for Europe. Well, for more on this story, we can cross live to France 24's Bénédicte Pavio, who's in Westminster. Bénédicte, this visit then is being described as a reset of French-British relations. Tell us more about the significance of this trip and the timing as well.
Well, there are only two state visits a year here in the United Kingdom. This one is being made by a French president, and that hasn't happened for 17 years. The last one was with President Sarkozy in 2008. We covered it, of course, here on France 24. And that is a very unusual gap. So that in itself is highly significant. Of course, it's the first also state visit of a French president and a European leader since Brexit. Everyone remembers, all the reports of the tension between Paris and London, particularly under the premiership of Boris Johnson. So it did get a bit warmer under Rishi Sunak, but particularly now, since Keir Starmer's government, the Labour government, has come to power just over a year ago, that relationship, those relations have got much closer. And of course, historically, that has been true as well. We are more than 120 years after the Entente Cordiale. So very significant. And what we're going to see on full display, particularly today, on day one of this 3-day state visit, is the soft power. The soft power exemplified, admired around the world, and certainly exemplified by the King, King Charles III, who at this moment will be sitting down to lunch with President Macron and his wife Brigitte, as indeed will be Queen Camilla, and also Kate and William. Kate and William, the Prince and Princess of Wales, who greeted the presidential couple at the RAF Northolt base. Then they went, the President and his wife went into Windsor and switched from a car to a royal cortege with lots of pageantry. And then after the welcome outside Windsor Castle came the pomp and circumstance and the ceremony and greeting ceremony by the King inside Windsor Castle. So now a lunch behind closed doors, much later on tonight a banquet where there'll be speeches and toasts. And the reason for our presence here in Westminster is because just behind me is Parliament, and this afternoon President Macron, one of the honours that is given and granted to a world leader who does come and enjoy a state visit, is to address Parliament. He'll be doing that to both the lower house and the upper house, so the House of Lords and the House of Commons later on this afternoon. It'll be very interesting to see. I think challenges, uncertainty, volatility, shifting power across the world, war on the continent of Europe will be some of the things that President Macron, who is going to be making his speech in English, he speaks fluent English, will be alluding to in that speech.
As you say, Bénédicte, the day is far from over. What more are we looking out for then?
Well, we're looking out for all kinds of signals of rapprochement. And we know that the King, before that, Prince Charles, gets on extremely well with President Macron. The King was immensely touched and said so very publicly by the reaction of President Macron on behalf of the French people when Queen Elizabeth II died. Of course, came to the funeral as well. So a lot of real relationship. A king who is very francophile, speaks fluent French, who's been to France 35 times, I understand, in his life. Of course, most of those when he was prince. And that very successful 2023 visit, of course, of the king and queen. So I think the tweet that you were alluding to in your introduction is very significant of President Macron as he touched down here in the UK when he talks about the fact that our bond is long-standing, forged by history and strengthened governed by trust. Together we will address the major challenges of our time: security, defence, nuclear energy, space, innovation, artificial intelligence, migration and culture. These are all areas in which we seek to act together, he says in this tweet, and deepen our cooperation in a concrete, effective and lasting way. He also says, importantly, this sentence, this is also a significant moment for our Europe. Because, of course, although there are bilateral strong ties historically between the UK and France, yes, that really came a cropper around Brexit time and subsequent years, but now that's really the hope of this visit, is that those bonds will be very much reset, and that reset is wanted, indeed was indicated less than 2 months ago by the President of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, in London itself. So this is significant for France, for the UK, and it is hope for Europe. The subject of migration is really headline news here. Can a deal be struck during the UK-France summit on Thursday? We will see.